Hey guys, what's going on? Today I'm going to show you how to wire up these halo fog lights. These are the ones that have the green CCFL halos around them. And they're just a universal kit I found on eBay, so it's going to take some work to wire up. I have a car battery to test it out to show you. And yeah, let's begin. So you're going to just get the wire cutters and just kind of strip off the casing to get it to look the same, because these wires aren't made that well. And you're just going to do that for all of them, and then you'll continue from there. Alright guys, so you're going to grab the this assembly right here, the one with all the positive ground, and then the one for the fog lights. I'm just going to start on the ground. I have removed this cap here because I'll just cover it later. It's not necessary, and I'm actually going to solder it together with this ground. This is the ground for the halo ring. It's the one that's along with this fuse right here. So just put it together like this, and then you'll solder it together. Alright, so I got it soldered together. Not really, it was mostly pushed together, but when I pull on both sides it holds together. That's good enough for me. It's my first time soldering. Anyways, I'm gonna get some electrical tape around this because I think it's gonna stay pretty well. And there we go, finished product, beautiful. Couldn't have been better. Alright, so we're gonna do the same thing for the red one here. We grab the red one here. Put it with this red cone here, take the cone off because the heat thing doesn't work at all. So we'll do that next, and I'll skip to when I get it done. Alright, so we have the halo ring wired up now, as you can see from the fuse box with the two pieces of tape. Right here, actually, the tape's right here. So they go up, and I've actually hooked up the switch here. The switch hooks up right here, really simple. And then these are your two power things. You know, you got the positive, the negative. These will go to your 12-volt source, so I actually just have a battery here. This is where you should hook it up in your car if you can find it. You can always hook it up on a fuse too, but I'm just going to do it here with this old car battery. And then we're going to use a switch and see if the halo ring turns on. I'm using electrical tape. You have two grounds. You got the blue ground, it's the main one, and then the one that I hooked up just recently with the tape here, you also want to make sure you ground it when you test it. So then you do put the positive on the positive, and then you use the switch. And I'll put this on the positive, and you can take a look. There we go. So we know it works. This is the CCFL, not the LED, so you can see it's constant all the way around, instead of having the little LED bulbs show through. So we know that works, so we can continue on with the second one. We're doing the same thing with these things right here. We're just gonna hook them to the positives, these to the negatives, and then we'll continue on from there. Alright, so once everything's wired up with the second one, or at least the halos wired up, we're going to start moving to the fog lights. Part of this right here is this is where the fog light's supposed to be hooked up to, but as you can see, this doesn't work because this is meant for pre-existing fog lights if you already have the connection. Well, I don't. I just have these cheap Chinese wires that are just right out here. So if we want to connect these, we're actually going to have to take this off. I mean, I would just cut the wire here, and I'll put the positive to the blue positive, the black negative to the ground wire to ground wire, and then actually that should just work. You don't even need this. You're just gonna have to cut this off. It's kind of useless. If you already do have pre-existing fog lights, you can use it, but we don't, so we're gonna go from there. Alright guys, so once you got the wire stripped, you get the little plastic off, and then you get the bare exposed copper wire. You can quickly put them together. This is just held by tape. Do the same thing if you want with the car battery. And we're going to put the positive here on the positive and see if the actual fog light works. This is just testing it out, it's not the final thing. Alright, so once you got all the fog lights hooked up and you got all the proper connections, what you're next going to do is you're going to pull in your car into the garage. You're going to put on jack stands. It really depends on what car you have, because you gotta reach this fog light here. But every car is different. Some you can actually go from the hood, but this car you really can't. So there's two ways. You can whether go behind the wheel well, and you can pop out all these plastic pieces here. Usually they break, so you might want to buy them ahead of time. What I'm going to actually do is go underneath and pull out this plate here, and then once I get that out, I'll be able to reach my hand underneath and be able to unscrew this. So. Alright, so it turns out for even the bottom cover of the bumper, you still do need to remove some of these here. You only need to remove this one here, and that one right there in the back you can see. So what I'm just going to do is get two screwdrivers. I'm just going to put one on this side, the other on the other side. I'm just going to pop it out. Can't hold the camera and do it at the same time, so just actually, yeah, so I'm going to have to put the camera down. Alright, once you get these clips out, you can see they're really cheap and shitty. I do suggest getting new ones. Mine work pretty well. So, once you get them out, you'll see that this thing kind of drops down. If you just kind of tug on it, it'll just fall down. Just pull that out. Now you have access underneath your car here. So you can stick your hand and you can get to the fog light. So, I'll go from there. Alright, so once we got this cover off, we just slide underneath here. We can see that this is the fog light right here. So you can see the headlights are actually blocking it, so that's why I had to remove the bottom here. But these are actually really easy to remove. You just kind of push down on these right here, and they kind of push in right there. I'll show you on the other one. This one wasn't that good. But what happened was, this moved forward. Now you can just kind of bend it. You do the same with the bottom. The bottom you actually push upward here. You just kind of push it like that. There we go. Heard it click. Now, see, now it completely disappeared. So in the front, you can see you can just kind of push them out. They're held by these two plastic tabs. Really easy. You just squeeze them in. Alright, I'm going to start with the hardest task. It's actually going to be to get this right here, the switches that are through the firewall, because it's going to be a bunch of stuff to remove, much harder than any fog lights or anything. So what I'm doing right now is I'm actually removing the trim pieces here so I can reach this screw. The screw will allow me to remove this whole entire cover here, and that'll hopefully make it a little easier, because from down here it's a little too high up to reach. Alright, with the screw removed, we can finally get underneath this cover here. This is all the room I actually need. I don't care that it's still bolted down somewhere over there. But if you can look, you can see that we can finally reach the firewall back here. So I'll be able to get the wire through. What I'm going to try to be doing here is getting this wire
I'm going to stick it like this here. I'm going to try to wrap it around with electrical tape. And hopefully that'll be strong enough to support it on its way through.
So you can see that I'll be pushing it through, and hopefully it'll stay on this clothes hanger. I'm going to try to aim for this hole right here. It's at the top of my interior of the dash, and so I was thinking this would be the easiest way to get it out. Turns out you just take this rubber seal and this foam and you just pull it out. Now you can get all the way back into underneath the dash. I'll just leave this here for now. I'll undo the tape and I'll have the wire ready. Okay, we're here on the other side, and you can see, kinda, let's see, turn off this light for a second. Yeah, right here is where the wire just went through. It's the bottom wire. I tug on it, you can tell. Not quite. Yeah, there it is. Okay, kind of moved. Anyways, so the wire is going to be running through here, but this is the steering column. I don't want it to get all mixed up on it when I'm turning. So I'm just going to grab a zip tie, stick my hand, and I'm going to try to zip tie it on this side because I'm going to be mounting it over here, kind of where the pre-existing the base for my subwoofers is. I'll just have it right next to it. Also probably tape it or screw it. This person before me who installed it screwed it. I don't know what I'm going to do. Probably maybe screw it. Doesn't really matter. It's just cheap plastic. And then, yeah, I'll make sure to zip tie it, keep it tight. I'm going to get as much wire as I can through the hole. I want it really tight, not any slack. It'll help on the other side because this car is pretty large, so I want to be sure that I can make it to both fog lights without having to run extra wire that I don't have. Alright, so we got the wire through finally, and I pulled it tight as I could. You don't want any slack over there. As you can see, I got the whole rubber thing into the firewall back. All I did is just use this long screwdriver that I have right here. Zoom out, alright, and I just pushed. It's pretty hard actually. Usually it really takes a lot of effort to really get it in there. You gotta make sure it's really tight. The wire is just running on the outside of it. It should be fine. So then, now with this wire here, you're going to start zip tying it. You're going to try to make your way to whether your battery or your fuse box. My battery's in the trunk, but I do still have the positive and ground terminals, so I'll be using those for the install. Okay, so we got the wire zip tied up to the sway bar on top here. So what I did is I had the positive terminal here. This is where your battery could be too, but my battery's in the trunk, as I already said previously. So all I did is take the positive, put it in here. Since the wire is going here, I just taped it so it stays shut, kinda. Doesn't really matter. Then I have the ground wire down here where I have the other grounds. This is where the fuses ground out to, same place. I zip tied that one fuse here. Hopefully it doesn't get too wet or anything. I can always cover it up later on. Then I have the wire run down through here. And then down here, it'll connect into the first fog light. Again, I zip tied the this inverter thing right underneath the actual housing. So I have all the positives and ground wires hooked up. It was hooked up the same as I did earlier. I just had to unhook them when I was plugging this or putting this in, and I rehooked them back up. I decided to ground the wire up on the screw because it is pretty much the only place it'll reach actually. Everything else here is plastic, or yeah, so there's nowhere else to really mount it. I'll show you now. Okay guys, so I just finished wiring up this last fog light. Everything's ready to go. The only thing I couldn't find was a ground wire for this. Since there's no windshield wiper fluid on this side, there literally is no bolts, and these are too big for this thing to loop around. I just grabbed a random bolt, put the ground wire in. I found some strange holes, not really I don't know what it's meant for. It's not a screw hole or anything, but I just stuck it in there, started turning. The screw is, actually the bolt is really long. It goes deep in there, so it's gonna stay for good. And I actually got it to work. Before it wasn't working. So if you run into that problem, it's actually just gonna be a ground wire. A lot of people think it's some sort of fuse or something that's broken. So I'm gonna take this out and I'll show you how it looks outside. Alright, so I'm out here and I'm going to test out my fog lights now, see how far they display. There we go, there's fogs. Without fogs. And with fogs. This is my green lights. Can't really see. Yeah, it's really hard to see from the cabin, but outside they're crazy. Like if I only had them on, it would be just ridiculous. They look awesome. Anyways guys, a quick tip, I would suggest not doing it when it's, as you can see, 21 degrees out. The whole time, man, it was just cold, 21 degrees. That's just crazy. So yeah, if you're gonna do fog lights, I suggest not doing it when it's that cold.